Ugg with 2 Salt Travel here, and today I want to show you how to tie the Promenade. The Promenade is a deep nymphing Chironomid pattern. I like to use it very deep in lakes and reservoirs. It's got a lot of flash to it, so I think that low light down there at around 20 to 25 feet with this mylar tail and gills here, and then the ribbing really capture any kind of light, and then it'll glint off of it. This one is in red. It's a size 12. So let's take a look at how to wind one of these up. Okay, so you're going to want to start off by putting a hook in the vise, and this is the Orvis 1524 in a size 12, and this is just their standard nymph hook. And to it I want to thread on a bead, and then I can reseat this hook in the vise. Now the bead I'm using is a Cyclops bead. This is the 1/8 inch in nickel. And I just want to take that bead and then push it back to the bend of the hook there. And I'm going to cast on with some, I've got some uni thread. It's the 6/0 in olive. And I just want to cast on behind the eye of the hook. And I just don't want to put a lot of material on there and then clip off the excess. Okay, next you're going to want to put on some uni mylar. This is the number 10. It's the 16th inch. And you want to cut off a little bit of that like so. And then you're going to tie this on right on top of the hook. There. Cut off the excess here, and then do a whip finish. And then cut off the excess thread. Okay, then you can take this mylar and you can kind of spin it until it's right up on top of the hook, and then slide your bead forward. And so it looks something like that. Then I like to cut this off right now about a bead width, something like that. And those are the gills. Okay, next you're going to cast on with some UTC. This is the 140 in red, and this is going to make up the body of the fly. So I cast that on behind the hook, cut off my little end of thread here, and I want to go all the way. I want to build up a nice base on the hook of this, on the shank of this hook, all the way back to the bend there. Excuse me. And next I want to use 1/100th Flashaboo, and I'm just going to grab off a pretty decent clump of these, maybe about, I don't know, 7 or 8 fibers worth, and cut that off the bunch like so. So you can see I've got, I don't know, about 7, 8, 9, 10 fibers in there. And I can tie those on now. Right. One loose wrap, and then a couple of tight turns going back. I'll just put these out of the way for now. And then cut these guys off. cut this end off like so. Okay, now I just want to advance the thread back up towards the bead. And I'm going to stop just short of the bead, and now I want to start building up a tapered body back towards the bend of the hook. And so I'm going to build up some here, and then I'm going to go back a little further each time and build up some more, going back up to the bead. And you can see I'm leaving a slot there behind the bead that I just want to use to capture some material with. Go back a little bit more towards the bend of the hook and keep building up that taper body. I don't want it too thick, but I just want enough to make it tapered. So there, I feel like that's pretty good. I'm just going to advance this thread back forward. And now I'm going to use the rotary feature of my vise. So I'm just going to put a hitch in this. Bring the thread up like so, and then now I want to separate out one of these fibers from the clump. Something just like so. I can kind of bend that forward. At this point I can cut off this tail, and I'm going to do it about 2 bead lengths, or maybe a bead and a half, something like that, and cut that off. Now I'm going to use this rotary feature. See if I can get that off of there. There it goes. Just want that tail. And I'm going to create some ribbing here. I just want to make some segmentation with this mylar flashabou. And it doesn't have to be super perfect. The fish don't seem to mind, but sometimes, you know, I look at it and I'm like, man, I gotta make that cleaner. So just give it a little segmentation with the flashabou, and once you get up behind the hook, then you can capture that with the turn, and then do a couple tight turns and one loose, and then you can cut that off. At this point I'm going to whip finish right behind the bead, because I'm finished with this red thread. And I can go ahead and cut that off. Okay, next I'm going to use some, this is the Deer Creek fine UV resin. It's the tack free, and the one thing I like about this is that it finishes really crystal clear. So if you're looking for a good resin that doesn't finish kind of milky, try this Deer Creek. Alright, I'm going to put some just on a little toothpick here, just a little dab. I'm just going to put some on top of the body and some on the bottom. And can just kind of spread that around to both sides. And that'll really lock in the thread, and it'll really lock in that mylar segmentation too. Once I get that spread around, I can zap it here with the UV. And that should be cured up. Okay, so this is the magic tool. This is the table, and this is the clip. And it's for use with CDC feathers, and this is an olive one. Here I'm going to take one of those feathers out, like so. And there's all kinds of sizes of feathers in this bag, but you want to pick one that's just a little bit bigger than the table there. And then you can splay these feathers out like so. You know, just kind of grab a hold of the tip with your thumb and run your fingers down, trying to get those fibers to be perpendicular to the stem. And then sometimes my fingers are too fat for this, but you want to clip that down into the table like so. And you can see how those fibers are sticking out right there. At this point I can take the clamp and capture those, and then I'm going to release the table right there, and so I'll pull that feather out. And so now I've got that feather trapped, and the clamp, I can take my scissors here, and I just want to cut the stem of that fiber off. Get that out of the way. There you can see I've got the feathers, the fibers are now trapped in this little clamp. And this is what I'm going to put on my dubbing loop. Okay, so I can cast back on with the olive uni thread, the 6/0. Cast that on, clip off the tag there, and then what I want to do is create a dubbing loop about, yay long. And then I'm going to go around it a couple of times. And then I'm going to bring it back there to about where I want that thorax to start. So I got a loop like so. Okay, then I want to grab this olive CDC that I have captured in the clamp. I'm going to put that in there like so, and then I'm just going to run it off, and I want to let go of that clamp, and those fibers will hold right in there. Then I'm going to take my tool, I just want to get this, separate those guys out a little bit. And then I can start spinning this thing, creating a nice little brush, like so. Then grab some hackle pliers, and then cut this free. And now I can advance these forward, and I just want to palmer them back as I go and make each wrap. Just kind of palmering those back. Until I get behind the bead. And then I can capture that and tie it off. 1, 2, 3 wraps. And then I can cut that off close to the bead. And now I'm ready to whip finish this fly. I like to do about like a 6-turn whip finish, and then I'll hit it again. Yeah, 5 or 6 turns. And cut off the excess. And then I'm going to do some super glue to this fly, but I like to just kind of brush these fibers back so that I can cut them off. I just want them to stand up somewhat perpendicular to the fly. And then I can just start trimming these off. I don't want a really wild body. I just want it to give the impression of that bug hatching. And so I just kind of cut these fibers. About like so. Now I kind of pull them back just a little bit to expose those thread wraps. And then I'm just going to use a little super glue to finish her off. Just enough to kind of coat those wraps. Just a little bit. All right. Push those back forward. And that is the Promenade size 12 in red. If you liked this video, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks.